You must sleep with me, human. Tonight. The words hung in the air, sharp as broken glass. Coulter stared at her, green hair cascading over violet skin, lips trembling, eyes unwavering. They were alone in the makeshift medbay of the wrecked starship. Outside, the wind howled across the desert, but inside, only silence. Alexa wasn't joking. She stepped closer, hand outstretched, not with hunger, but desperation. My people, we don't have time, she whispered. If I don't bond before the next moonrise, my body will reject the fertility protocol. I will be the last of my kind. Coulter's throat tightened. He wasn't ready for this. He never imagined that helping a wounded alien would lead to this moment. But he saw it now, the fire behind her eyes. This wasn't seduction, it was extinction. And he was the only one who could stop it. 3 days ago, Coulter had never seen anything like her. He was hiking alone, part of his usual post-military routine, miles away from the nearest town, lost in the silence of red rocks and wind-scoured cliffs. He liked it that way. No noise, no people. Just him and the world. But then, the sky cracked. A sound like metal tearing through reality sent birds screaming from trees. Coulter turned in time to see a silver blaze streak overhead and vanish behind a mesa. The impact shook the ground. Without thinking, he ran toward it. What he found wasn't a meteor. It was a ship, half buried, smoke rising, and slumped against its hull, bleeding from a wound that shimmered unnaturally, was her. Alexa, purple-skinned, emerald-haired, barely conscious, but alive. Her suit had torn at the side, exposing the wound. Despite everything, she raised her hand when he approached. Not in fear, in trust. Coulter knew better than to ask questions. He carried her out, patched her up in an abandoned outpost he used during long treks. Days passed. Her wounds healed faster than human. She didn't speak much, but when she did, her voice sounded like wind and glass and thunder. He was drawn to her, not just because she was alien, but because she was alone, like him. Then last night, things changed. She began to shiver, her skin glowing faintly under moonlight. She said nothing, just curled tighter beneath the sheets, as if something inside her was breaking. Coulter tried to help, wrapping her in heat blankets, monitoring her vitals, using every skill he had. Finally, at dawn, she spoke. It's begun. The fertility window is collapsing. I have 1 cycle left. Coulter blinked. What does that mean? It means, she said slowly, that if I do not bond with a compatible human, my genetic matrix will degrade. Permanently. He stared, confused. You mean, you need medical help? No, she whispered. I need you. Your DNA. Your body. The silence between them was more than awkward. It was cosmic. He laughed nervously, sure he misunderstood, but she didn't laugh back. I ran calculations. You're a match. Out of millions. You are the one Earth-born carrier with viable compatibility. I didn't choose this, Coulter. But if we don't, I die. And with me, my species. Her words left a scar. He wanted to say no, wanted to walk away. But something deep in his chest, a gravity stronger than logic, kept him still. And now, sitting across from her in the dim light of a ruined alien vessel, he was faced with a choice that would decide more than his fate. It would decide the future of a dying world. Coulter hadn't moved in 10 minutes. He sat on the edge of the bed, shirtless, his breath caught somewhere between disbelief and something darker. Across from him, Alexa stood silent, every part of her body taut with restraint, as if she were fighting the urge to simply vanish. Her long green hair fell over her shoulder like vines brushing stone, and her eyes, wide, uncertain, never left his. I don't understand, Coulter finally said, his voice low, barely more than a breath. You're telling me that… What? You crash here, I patch you up, and now the survival of your entire species rests on whether or not I… Lie with me, she finished gently, yet with an unmistakable edge of urgency. Yes. A dry chuckle escaped his lips, though it carried no humor. You make it sound so simple. It's not, her voice caught. For my people, it is sacred. intimate beyond anything your culture might imagine. We don't casually share ourselves. We bind. Forever. That word, it struck something inside him. Binding. No escape. No undoing. This wasn't a desperate alien plea. This was a ritual. A vow. He rubbed the back of his neck, muscles twitching. You said I'm compatible. How the hell do you even know that? I scanned your biology while unconscious, she replied, crossing her arms. Not in defense, but in instinct, as though shielding something fragile inside her chest. You carry a rare genetic signal, a dormant strand that mirrors one of our lost gene codes. We once had it too. It vanished generations ago. Exposure to Earth's atmosphere accelerated the breakdown. Our females can no longer conceive without it. He swallowed hard. And you think, what? That some military dropout with a backpack and a med kit is going to magically fix your evolutionary crisis? Alexa stepped forward slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. Not you. Your essence. Your lineage. Your DNA isn't just compatible, it's the key. He looked away. Outside the porthole window, sand twisted in the wind, forming temporary sculptures before vanishing. Nothing permanent, nothing lasting. The irony wasn't lost on him. This is insane, he muttered. Perhaps, she said softly, but it is true. Coulter stood and began pacing, the tension stretching his shadow across the curved walls of the ship. What happens if we don't? If I say no? She didn't answer immediately. Her silence felt heavier than words. Finally, she said, I will die. Slowly. My body will deteriorate under atmospheric strain. My cells have already begun to fragment. This is my last chance. He stopped pacing. And if I say yes, what then? We just become a couple? Raise a hybrid kid on Earth while dodging the government? Go grocery shopping while people whisper behind our backs? Her lips parted in a faint smile, sad and haunting. If we bond, we merge. You will carry traces of me in your blood. Our minds will open to one another. You'll see my memories. I'll feel your thoughts. We won't be separate anymore. There will be no secrets. Coulter turned to her, eyes narrowed. That's terrifying. It is, she admitted, but it is also beautiful. His heart thudded like a distant drumbeat. He thought of the past, of blood and dirt and broken bodies on foreign battlefields, of screaming medevac calls and missions that went wrong, of walking away from war only to find the silence afterward louder than gunfire. And then he thought of her, of how she had trembled beneath his care, but never feared him, how her voice never rose but always commanded attention, how her touch, when she reached for his hand the night before, lingered long after it ended. He didn't trust easily, not anymore, but something about her, about Alexa, was different. She didn't demand faith, she simply offered truth. He sat back down, staring at the floor. Why me? You said I was a match, sure, but don't pretend you haven't thought about what I am, what I've done. I know what you are, she said, kneeling before him. I've seen your scars, inside and out. I've killed people, and I've lost an entire world, she replied. Their gazes met. No lies, no defenses. Just two souls broken by survival. Her fingers reached for his again, trembling slightly now. You don't owe me anything, but I ask, not as a queen, not as a scientist, but as Alexa, will you help me live? Coulter didn't answer right away. He was tired. Tired of running from purpose. Tired of pretending that the only thing he had to offer was anger. He looked at her, really looked, beyond her alien appearance, past the shimmering skin and otherworldly eyes. He saw grief. He saw strength wrapped in sadness. He saw someone who had risked everything for the smallest chance to be whole again. And in her, he saw the one thing he thought he'd lost forever. Hope. He let out a breath, slow and final, and reached forward. His hand found her cheek, warm beneath his palm. She didn't flinch, didn't move, just leaned into it, eyes fluttering closed for the briefest moment. I don't know what this makes me, he whispered. Her lips barely moved. Alive. They sat like that for a moment, suspended in something larger than words. The room pulsed gently with ambient light from the ship's damaged systems. Somewhere outside, the stars blinked into view. Suddenly, an alarm chirped softly from a nearby console. Alexa's head turned, her expression darkening. "They've found us!" Coulter's brows furrowed. "Who?" "My trackers. Earth surveillance picked up my heat signature again. I masked it with field interference, but it's weakening. They'll send drones first, then soldiers." "Your people?" She shook her head. "Number yours." Coulter stood fast. "Then we don't have much time." Alexa rose with him. "We don't." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was electric, heavy with the understanding that everything had shifted, that what was once a choice had become inevitability. He stepped forward. "So what now?" She looked up at him, expression unreadable. "Now," she said quietly, "we decide whether a future is still possible, for either of us." And in the dwindling light, surrounded by ancient technology and the winds of a world not meant to host her kind, Alexa reached out her hand again, not in desperation, but in trust. This time Coulter didn't hesitate. He took it. The air shimmered with tension as Coulter followed Alexa through the narrow passage of the ship. Warning lights pulsed in rhythmic flashes, their glow painting the walls in alternating hues of crimson and cobalt. Each step echoed louder than the last, the weight of what was coming pressing against his chest like a silent countdown. She moved with purpose, but not fear. Her hair flowed behind her like a living current, and Coulter couldn't help but marvel at how she carried herself. Elegant yet wounded, determined yet vulnerable. Every instinct told him to ask more questions, to demand details, to figure out what exactly he had gotten himself into. But he didn't. Not now. The choice had already been made. They reached the control center, a circular room alive with blinking panels and humming vibrations. The interface glowed in response to Alexa's presence, reacting to her touch like a creature stirring from sleep. "They're deploying a sweep drone. Altitude pattern, low orbit, scanning for thermal patterns." Her voice was brisk, analytical. She pulled up a flickering 3D model of the area. "We have less than 10 minutes before they triangulate." Coulter leaned in. "How many will they send?" "Enough. Drones first, then a field team. And if they confirm my identity," she paused, "an extraction squad, with orders to eliminate anything that interferes." He frowned. "So what? You're considered a threat now?" "I'm considered a failure," she replied, eyes not leaving the console. "I disobeyed a recall protocol. I remained on a contaminated planet. And now I've bonded with a native." She glanced at him then, her gaze sharper than a blade. "That's unforgivable in their eyes." "You bonded," he echoed. "I thought we hadn't." "We haven't," she interrupted gently. "Not fully. But your agreement, your choice, that changed everything. Our minds are aligning. Your presence within me has already begun." He swallowed, unsure if he should be terrified or honored. "So if they catch you, they won't just kill you. They'll study you. They'll dissect me," she said flatly. "And they'll take you too, to find out how your DNA connects. And if they think you're replicable, they'll use you." He stepped back, blinking hard. "You're telling me I might have just signed up to be a lab rat for the rest of my life?" "No," she said softer now. "You signed up to matter." Silence bloomed between them, heavy with implications neither had the time to unravel. Outside, the skies darkened as the drone passed overhead, invisible but felt. The wind shifted, turning from still warmth to a humming pressure, like the earth itself had begun to listen. Coulter turned toward the window. "We can't stay here." "No," she agreed. "But before we go, we must complete the connection. If we don't, you'll remain exposed. Your body will deteriorate from the partial imprint. You'll lose coordination. Your memories will fracture." "Great," he muttered. "So it's all or nothing." She nodded. "You were never meant to be half of something, Coulter." The way she said his name, it sent a shiver through him, like she'd spoken it in a forgotten tongue, one that wrapped around his name like silk and fire. He stepped forward slowly. "Then let's finish this." Alexa led him through another corridor, this one quieter, dimly lit with soft bioluminescence. The walls pulsed faintly, alive with the ship's residual energy, reacting to their approach like heartbeats sinking. At the end of the passage, a chamber awaited, circular with a low ceiling and a central platform of woven threads that shimmered underfoot. This wasn't a laboratory. It felt sacred, like stepping inside the lungs of a living creature. "What is this place?" Coulter asked. "The Nexus Core," Alexa said. "Where we commune, where we become." She moved to the platform center and turned to him. No bravado, no manipulation, just her. "Are you ready?" He inhaled sharply and nodded. "Yeah, let's save your species." She extended her hand. He took it. The moment their palms touched, the room reacted. Light exploded outward in a slow-moving wave, wrapping around them like water and stars. He felt heat radiate from her skin, but it wasn't painful. It was familiar, like returning home after a long winter. Then came the visions. They didn't unfold like dreams or play like memories. They poured into him, raw, unfiltered experiences. He saw her as a child beneath the twin moons of her homeworld, chasing spectral butterflies through silver grass. He saw her losing her sister in a viral outbreak that consumed entire cities. He saw the rebellion she led, the betrayals, the sacrifice, the desperate launch into space to find a cure they had no name for. And beneath it all, aching loneliness. Coulter gasped, falling to one knee, but she held him steady, one hand on his shoulder, her voice in his mind now. "Don't pull away. Let it pass through you. Let me be known." So he did. He opened himself. She saw the boy, left behind when his father went to war. The teenager who trained harder than anyone else just to be seen. The soldier who couldn't stop a child from dying in his arms. The man who came home to silence and empty rooms. She didn't pity him. She accepted him. The energy between them tightened, spiraled, then shattered like crystal exploding in slow motion. When Coulter came to, he was still on the platform. But something had changed. He felt lighter, sharper, as if the world had pulled into focus. All noise filtered out, except what truly mattered. Alexa stood across from him, glowing faintly. Her chest rose and fell in quiet breaths. "It's done," she whispered. "You are bound to me now, and I to you." He looked down at his arm. Strange, glowing patterns now danced beneath the skin like constellations tattooed by light. "What the hell is this?" "An imprint," she said. "A permanent link. No technology could replicate it. It's life choosing life." Suddenly, a low rumble shook the floor beneath them. "Time's up," she said. Coulter snapped into motion. "We move now." They raced back through the ship, her energy stronger now, more centered. She wasn't fading anymore. If anything, she seemed reborn. Outside, through the ship's hull, they spotted the first drones descending. Sleek, black, vulture-like machines with scanning arms and retractable spikes. Coulter pulled a side panel open, revealing a rusted storage cache of outdated Earth gear, binoculars, flashlights, an old rifle. He handed her a stun cannon. "You know how to use this?" She raised an eyebrow. "I invented the weapon it was reverse-engineered from." He grinned. "Perfect." As the first drone passed overhead, Alexa raised her arm and fired. A clean pulse of light slicing the air. The machine dropped instantly. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Coulter and Alexa moved like they'd done this forever. Him scanning perimeters, her adjusting trajectory grids in her mind and marking safe routes. Their steps mirrored each other, breaths in sync, weapons ready. As they slipped into the canyon's edge, far from the wrecked ship, a second drone zipped overhead. But they were already gone. Two shadows moving with purpose. "We'll need to keep going," she said. He nodded. "Then we run." And they did. Through wind, over rocks, into the unknown. Together. They didn't stop running until the sun began to dip low behind the jagged mountain range. The air cooled, crisp against Coulter's skin, and every breath came heavy but full. Alexa moved ahead of him with measured grace, never once slowing down, never faltering. Whatever transformation had occurred between them, it was more than emotional. It was physical, tangible. He felt stronger, lighter, as if some unknown gravity had been peeled off his shoulders. They made camp beneath the twisted roots of an ancient tree, its bark glowing faintly with moss that shimmered in shades of violet and green. The forest they'd entered pulsed with life, but it welcomed them, not threatened. The imprint between them extended beyond thought now. They could sense each other's fear, strength, doubt, like a language deeper than words. Coulter sat with his back against the tree and looked across the small fire at Alexa. Her gaze was lost in the flames, face soft with exhaustion and something else, relief. "They'll be tracking again by morning," she said without looking at him. "I know," he paused, "but they won't find us." Alexa finally met his eyes. "You believe that?" "I believe we've come too far for this to end in failure." She tilted her head, letting the firelight dance across her features. "You sound like one of us now." "Maybe I am." Silence grew between them again, but it was different now. Not awkward or uncertain, just quiet, needed. He watched the flickering shadows on her face and wondered if this moment, fleeting as it was, would stay with him forever. After a long pause, Alexa whispered, "My people will not stop." "I figured," Coulter said, "but they're not just after you anymore. They're after us, which means they have to go through me too." "You don't understand how they operate, Coulter. They'll break laws they claim to uphold. They'll scorch the earth if it means erasing what we've done." Coulter leaned forward. "Then maybe we stop running." She blinked. "What do you mean?" "We hit back," he said. "Your ship still has its command core, right? That means communication, power, access to satellite arrays. If we get it operational, we can send a signal. Not to your people, but to mine." Her lips parted slightly, unsure. "You want to bring humans into this?" "I want the truth out. You came here for survival. You didn't attack. You didn't deceive. You found me. You trusted me." Alexa frowned. "Your leaders will see me as a threat." "Not if I'm the one speaking." She considered that. The fire crackled. Leaves rustled in the wind. Then finally she nodded. "We'll go back tomorrow. One more time. If the core's intact, we send the message. And if it's not, then we disappear." He smiled grimly. "We're getting good at that." That night, Coulter couldn't sleep. His mind buzzed with what-ifs and fractured futures. But Alexa rested beside him, her head on his chest, their pulses aligned like a metronome. There was peace in that rhythm. Just before dawn, they set out again. The return trip was faster. Their connection allowed for coordination without words. She could see angles and trajectories he couldn't, and he could sense threats she'd missed. They were no longer two separate beings navigating a foreign planet. They were one entity with purpose. When they reached the wreck, it was worse than they'd left it. A chunk of the hull had collapsed, and parts of the ship's frame were melted. A deep gouge marked where a drone had struck. But beneath the destruction, the core was intact. They climbed inside. Alexa moved straight to the control bank, fingers dancing across the console with urgency. Lights sputtered, flickered, then pulsed to life. "We've got power," she said. Coulter watched as lines of alien code poured down the screen. "You can send it?" "I can do more than that," she said. "I can activate an emergency protocol, one that transmits everything. My logs, our connection, the imprint data, even this conversation. It'll reach your satellites. And they'll listen? If they don't, they'll at least see." Coulter nodded. "Then do it." She hesitated. "What is it?" Alexa looked at him, her eyes shimmering. "Once I send this, I can't go home. Not ever. This is an act of treason in their eyes." He stepped closer. "You won't need to go back." "But I'm not human, Coulter." "You're more human than anyone I've met." She smiled just a little. Then she pressed her hand against the console. A burst of blue light shot up her arm and into the device. The ship rumbled once like it sighed. A low hum grew louder. The signal had launched. Alexa turned to him. "It's done." They didn't have time to celebrate. A tremor ran through the floor. Then another. Coulter ran to the viewport and looked out. The sky was wrong. A rupture in the clouds split wide, and descending through it was a vessel. Not a drone, but something larger. Faster. Sleeker. "They're here," he said. Alexa's expression went cold. "Too fast. That's a tactical dropship. Their orders won't be negotiation." Coulter grabbed the stun rifle and tossed her a second weapon. "Then we hold them off long enough for the signal to be received." Alexa took the weapon, gaze narrowing. No running? He shook his head. No running. When the first soldier breached the wreck, Coulter took him down with a shot to the chest. More followed. 3, 5, then 10. All armored in gleaming suits, moving like ghosts. Alexa moved beside him, her aim unerring, energy bursts hitting with precision and efficiency. But they were outnumbered and running out of space. A blast struck near Coulter's feet, throwing him sideways. He hit the wall hard. Pain exploded through his ribs. He looked up, vision blurry, and saw a soldier bearing down. Then Alexa was there, screaming something in her language, a raw command that froze the soldier mid-step. She reached Coulter and pulled him behind cover. "You can't stop them," he gasped. "You have to go." "No!" Her voice was fierce. "I won't lose you." "Don't be a martyr," he whispered. "You said it yourself. They want to erase you. You staying here only helps them." She stared at him, jaw tight. Then slowly she kissed him. Deep, full, desperate. "I don't know what I am anymore," she whispered. "But if I die with you." "No," Coulter said. "You live, for both of us." Suddenly a pulse shook the air. The soldiers stopped. One by one, their suits powered down. The ship above them began to recede, its glow flickering. Alexa stood, stunned. What just happened? Then the message came. Not over the alien comms, but through Coulter's earpiece, crackling and human. "This is Command Station Echo. We received your transmission. We see the data. Hold your position. Reinforcements inbound. Do not engage." Coulter blinked. "They heard us." Alexa looked at him, chest rising and falling in shock. "They believed you." "No," he said. "They believed us." They emerged from the wreck slowly, hands raised, the scene around them frozen in unnatural stillness. The alien soldiers retreated into the tree line, disappearing like mist. The tactical vessel reversed course, and for the first time, Earth didn't push back. It listened. That night they sat beneath the stars. No ships, no drones, no threats, just sky and breath and possibility. Alexa leaned against Coulter's shoulder. "What now?" she asked. He looked up at the stars. "Now, we teach them." "Teach them what?" He smiled. "That survival isn't about conquest. It's about connection." And beside him, wrapped in light and warmth, the last hope of an alien species, his partner, his equal, his impossible miracle, closed her eyes and breathed the future into being.